Good morning guys and welcome back to the channel. Please remember, hit that subscribe button guys, hit the notification bell and you'll be notified whenever we do a video. Thanks ever so much. So, we've got a few things on today. The Pinto, we have started work on it already. We have rebored it, it has cleaned up 0.5 oversize. And we are just refacing the block now. You can see I'll give it one cut, but it didn't sort of clear at the far end there. So just giving it another cut, which means obviously we may have to take some off the crowns of the pistons when we do a dummy build. I didn't know whether I mentioned it before, but now we've refaced the surface of the block. It's quite apparent that it's had liners in the past, and that's probably why it's back to standard. So the liners haven't shifted. And there is a step at the bottom, so I'm quite happy to go ahead using these liners. So I said to you all before that if it's a straight liner or looks to be a straight liner and there doesn't seem to be an evident step at the bottom of the straight liner, then we would almost certainly recommend that we take those liners out and put our own top hat liners in there. I did have a couple of you guys that I noticed in the comments when I said about liners in a previous video. Why do you use a top hat liner? Isn't that a bit old school? And why wouldn't you just use a straight liner? To be honest with you, the reason is in some cases there just isn't the meat left down in the bottom to put a step for the straight liner that I feel is adequate. So if we can and we can get the sizes, we just go straight for a top hat liner. As I said, a lot of the time the gasket can seal on the top hat as opposed to the block, which in my eyes is a better idea. And you know, providing it's done right, as we've seen before where people haven't done it right and the liners can drop when the engine's been running, then if you do it right, then there's no way them liners can go anywhere. So that's the reason we do that, guys. So next step, once this is faced, we're gonna hone the cylinders out to size, and I'm gonna get Isaac or Paul to assist in cleaning this block. We've got to get all the old paint off. Thank you guys very much for your emails and comments on the blue. I think we've got the correct code now for the blue, so we're going to get that mixed up at Marlow Paint Supplies, our local paint supplier, and we can paint the cylinder head and the block in that colour, and it should look really, really nice, mixed with the silver and the black at the end of it. So the cylinder head here for the Ford Focus ST. So this is the 5-cylinder that I showed you a couple of videos ago. We've seen these before in here, guys, and they do get horrendously overheated and distorted. So just to recap very quickly, these engines come stripped from one of our customers mainly. And he brings the head in sort of with the valves and springs in, cam assembly and all that is over there, buckets. It's a solid lifter type, not hydraulic. So what we do, first of all, is we vacuum the valves. And what I mean by vacuum the valves is we've got a vacuum tester here which we turn on, and it's got a series of pads there, and you put the right size pad on, and when you cover the hole, you can see there it goes up. Well, with your finger over it, it'll go up to right up to sort of 800. Anywhere in the green is acceptable. So what you do is you put the valves in, make sure that there's a sort of sealed, and it tests the seating of the valves on the seat. So you put the pad over the port there, and you watch the gauge. If it goes up to the green, then it's acceptable and the valves are seating perfect, which means you're going to get no loss of compression through the valves. If it doesn't register at all, you're going to probably end up with a misfire. So when these heads overheat, what they do is they basically banana like that. So you find that both ends, it'll be raised. And what that does eventually, not only if it bends too much, can it knock the cam off their seats there, because obviously these are line board. It has to be very, very warped for it to do that. It's usually a lot less warped down here than it is on the surface. What tends to happen is the surface will sort of sink down. But what happens is eventually is it just knocks the valves off their seats. So the seat will sort of distort, and the valve obviously is in line with the guide, and you just get hardly any vacuum, if vacuum at all, on some of them. So that's exactly what's happened on this head. The longer the head, 6 cylinders tend to be worse. This is obviously a 5, so it's pretty bad. And like I said to you before, these do get horrendous. So we're just going to cut those seats and then we're going to reface it. What happens then when you obviously cut the valves and the seats? The valves sit further back, which protrudes the stem the other side a bit more, and that closes the valve clearances up. So what we're going to have to do is do the valve clearances. These are a solid bucket type, so there's no shim, it's just a solid bucket. So rather than replace buckets for different size ones, what we do is we tend to take it off the back of the stem. So we do the clearances with the springs off on the bench, take it off the stem, and then we know that we've ended up with all the original buckets. Otherwise, it's a nightmare and you've got to try and get the buckets. And if they're that bad, sometimes you can't get the buckets with small enough clearance. So that's what we're going to do there, guys. So over here is the cylinder block. Now we've finished this, and if we were boring it, guys, or if we were building this, we certainly wouldn't be running this. We would be boring it to oversized pistons. But we've faced the block. There's been about 10 thou took off that block face, so he obviously has to be careful with his piston protrusion, although he says you can go with thicker gasket and he gets away with it. But you can see the bores have cleared up, or cleaned up, but they're about 3 thou oval, so not great. Probably not the worst one we've done, but not great. But as I say, he seems to think that they'll be all right, so we've just got to pre-warn him of that. Recommend that he rebores it, but it's entirely up to him if he builds it. Right, guys, thumbnail and title time. So I don't want to get soppy here. I've actually had so many emails and even phone calls regarding some of these, I suppose, dramatic thumbnail and title videos. Whereas before, when we was sort of probably 6 months ago, when we were doing a warranty claim one or something like that, we would get some, plenty of negative comments, but fingers crossed, we don't tend to get so many now. But I've had 1 or 2 phone calls recently and some emails with people that really feel for us, especially people that watch that are in the trade and have been in the trade for years. It seems that they almost ring up thanking us for doing these videos and putting things on. So obviously the one that we did on the court case for the gearbox, we've had some people ring up and say, look, it's an absolute breath of fresh air to watch these videos, because obviously up until we started doing these videos, they had these same experiences, people trying to take the mickey and the grief that comes with running a small business and that, whether it's this sort of trade or something different. And I think that they just like to watch and see that people relate to the same as what they're going through, because obviously, these ordeals are very traumatic, very, very stressful, and nearly everyone that has spoken to me or emailed or commented said that we did the right thing. Although morally it's very, very annoying and we've had to, it is a bitter pill to swallow. We've done the right thing. Just pay the guy, move on. You don't need the stress, learn from it and don't deal with these people again. So yeah, as I say, guys, from the bottom of my heart, I honestly am very, very glad that the channel is sort of touching and helping people through. That was one of the big intentions of the channel. So yeah, although some people, the trollers and that, some people don't really like the warranty videos. The reason we do it is because it shows how honest we are, how open we are, and if it can help people that are going through the same sort of experiences, knowing that you're not alone, then that is a massive thing for me. So yeah, thanks ever so much, guys, for putting in the time to get in touch with us, either via email, the comments, or even by phone. It's a pleasure to hear from you, and yeah, just got to learn from these things and move on, guys, and all stick together. So thanks very much. Right, so here we have the 2-cylinder heads for the BMW V8 engine, which we obviously got the go-ahead on. I do thank you all for your comments and that on the last video. Yeah, we are very, very pleased that we've found, although obviously we're sorry to the customer, but we're very, very pleased that we've found what is potentially the issue with that bit of paper element stuck in the oil gallery. As you can see here, we've got the cylinder head. So this engine, apart from that one main giving an issue, there's been no other problem with this engine. So what we're going to do with the cylinder heads, we're going to strip all the cam gear out, take the valves out, and we're going to clean them up right up, obviously, and just give them a birthday. So we're going to overhaul these heads, cut the valves and seats, new stem seals, and put it all back together when they're very nicely cleaned and painted, etc. This cam gear, I'll be honest with you, it's not quite the same as the other BMW or the Peugeot spring setup where we have our tool. It's a little bit the same, but slightly different. So before we go ripping this all off, I'm going to have a good look as to how this thing goes back together, because you know what it's like with this. You can sort of take it apart and it can go pudding, and that's the end of that. So I'm going to have a little look, see if there's any other special tools we need to pull all this gear apart, or whether we just take it off as a complete unit and leave it to one side really. But yeah, we'll be having a look at that before we go any further. But yeah, get Isaac on that today, get them all nicely cleaned up and see if we had any issue with the valves. Well guys, it's great news on the BMW heads. So as you can see, we've still got one intact there, but Isaac has stripped this one. Unfortunately, that lot of cams and what have you there, all this triffid of springs and what have you, comes off in one sort of bulk hit without having to strip it all out. So that is just literally a cassette, which is great news. As you can see, he's cleaned this one right up. Just got to go through the ports, obviously do the valve seat, skim the head, and that is all complete there with a nice lick of paint over it. And then we crack on with that one. So that's brilliant news on that. Right guys, you can see here 3 more engines turned up. We had one of our subscribers, Andy, turn up. He got in touch with me after watching the last video, or the video we mentioned what we're doing with the E30, saying that we're thinking about building the M20, and he said, I've got a little deal with that you might be interested in. As you can see here, although they're quite hard to get hold of now and they're quite expensive, these S50s, we seem to be knee deep in them. So Andy's delivered 3 of the engines. One has got a big end gun, I think it's that one, but the others I think are okay. This one's got a bit of a leaky rear main seal, although they're a bit grubby. They're both, you know, sort of okay. They're B32, so the 3.2 Evo engine, 320 horsepower apparently. And he said basically he wants one gone through, and payment will be the other 2. So what I said, the deal was, if you bring them over, so bless him, he's come over from Yeovil, thank you very much. We're going to take the cranks out, check all the cranks, see what we've got with these engines, and then maybe do a deal on 2 of them. So could be a game changer, guys. I'm going to wait for you lot to comment down below whether we should put the S50 in the E30. Also in talks with someone else, Peter, another subscriber, who's also got a bit of a very tempting deal on an S50 B32 engine. Comes with all the running gear, all come out of an E30. So we're literally talking gearbox, diff, engine, all the management, everything, just directly straight in. Could save some time. So we are thinking about buying that lot because it's fairly cheap for what it is. So we could be absolutely inundated with S50s here. Whatever we decide to do, whether we do that as a quick option and get the car running so we can get out on track and take you guys with us, whether we do that, we are still going to be building that M20 no matter what. Think that's going to make great content, and you never know, could be a nice raffle prize for one of you guys, a nice M20, or we could build another car, get Isaac in it, who knows. That's the situation with these. So obviously you can see we've got engines all over the place at the minute, so this is not going to be done in a major hurry. But it would be interesting to see when we get in amongst these S50s what condition they are. Well, thanks ever so much for watching, guys. Yet again, have a lovely weekend. Happy Friday, and we will see you in Monday's video. Like I say, comment down below on what you think we should do with the BMW. Got plenty of options now. Should we go for the stock 320 horsepower, a little bit heavier, or should we build the M20 nice and revvy, get that in there? World's our oyster at the moment. So yeah, let us know, guys. But no, have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Cheers, guys.